Hi guys, three last sessions to finish off the season with the teams that I was working with, and we kicked it off with just some rondos. So rondo A is just players 5v2. Can the blue players here connect 5 passes each time they do that's a point, and the defenders were working for 2 minutes at a time. The 2 minutes defending is a good shift, so the players did deserve a wee break after that one. And for B, the progression was every time the defenders got split, that was a point for the red players, and this time we just worked one in, one out. So if this player messed up, one of the defenders would go out and they would come into the middle. For this one, it is just some passing patterns, and it was quite a simple pattern to begin with. So the ball would go out and it just follows the number, so it's mirrored by one up at the top here. In, back, through ball, pass through. Now, the players knew this was simple, and we made it clear to them that because it was such a simple back, forward, through, we wanted the exercise done at high pace and with a high level of quality. So the players got that, and this pass from number 2, the ball back in here was 1 touch, that was 1 touch. The only time that a player took 2 touches was the player at the top. So that through ball, the ball coming down here, control and then pass, and it was 1 touch, 1 touch, 1 touch, all the way through. The progression to that one was a little more complicated, where the player in the middle would have to create an angle to pass wide. It'd be back in, through ball, and then up to the top. So whilst this was a bit more complicated with the passing angles and the movement, we still wanted it done at high pace with high quality of execution. The third progression for this one was actually the players making it up themselves. We called in the 4 groups and we gave them a minute or two to decide where the ball was going to start, where it was going to get passed to, who the rotation was going to go through, and how the ball had to get to the other end, if that's the way they wanted to work it. Now, the only condition on that one was there had to be a through ball. At some point in that passing pattern, there had to be that ball, or that ball, a ball that someone had to run onto. I didn't just want everything done 2 feet. The players came up with some great variations, and we worked on each of those ones for a couple of minutes as well. Moving on, we start with the player in the middle, touch out your feet, go and have a shot. He would then turn to play a little 1-2 with player 2, who would drive the ball out into the space for the winger 3 to step onto, get round that fullback, and then work the ball into the box for players 1 and 2 to come in and finish. Now, we did have left and right sides going on this, and we also had a couple of different variations where the ball wouldn't just be into space for him to take and dribble. It would have to be played into this area here, change the starting area, position of this wide player, and we were just working on different crosses and different finishing techniques. Finished it off with a game, and the setup of the field was shorter and wider than I would normally do for a 7v7. Shorter to try and get them shooting more, wider to encourage the ball to go into those wide areas and practice some of those crossing and finishing techniques we had just worked on. Second session is going back to the Arsenal interceptions. This is something that we've done previously, the players loved, and whilst they enjoyed it, they still hadn't quite mastered it. So we went back to it, and especially for the defensive 3 on either side, I wanted them to be aggressive in their defensive style. So not waiting for the opposition player to take a touch and then going to close down. Can we get in front and then push on to help the players in the zone in front of us to attack? Again, with the passing channels, no players can go in there, and I was really hoping for these players, when they saw the opposition player lining up a pass there, can they read it? Can they step in front of their opposition player, drive in and go and help an attack? So again, we're looking at passing patterns to shooting, and this time it was working a midfield 3, ball in, ball back, ball through. Can we get that player wide, and then it's a cut back for either the centre forward or number 10, who's number 2 in this situation, to get it there. We did work it on the right hand side as well, and we were looking for passing patterns that would either release one of the forward 3 or the attacking midfielder to get into shooting zones. So we worked on a couple of different variations. Some of them it would be the winger dropping back, and it would be the number 10 making that run into that gap for a through ball. I'm sure you've got ideas of your own. This was just making sure that we were getting into that attacking third and getting shots on target. So because we were looking for either through balls or getting into wide areas, we put in these 4 crossing zones. and we put in a through ball line. So the conditions that we had on this game were if a ball was played into that zone for an attacker to move on to and score, it would count for double. If the ball was worked into one of these zones, crossed in and scored, it would count for double as opposed to any other normal goal. For this session, this was actually done after our final game of the season. I just wanted the players to come in, play a few different types of games, and just finish the season on a high. So the blue team here would have been playing north and south, and they could score in either goal. The red team were playing east-west. And we're just looking at that wee bit of transition. So if you're attacking centrally and the opposition gets it, can we drop back to cover our weak areas, as it were? This game, 4-goal game, and if the ball was recovered by the red team in here, they had to score in the diagonally opposite zone. Now, if the red team go on and score, they get to keep that ball, and then they can score in either of or any of the 3 other goals. So it is quite a dynamic game where you would find that the players would get the ball out from here after scoring and automatically try and score here. Shortest distance to cover, but you found that the opposition team would then start to recognise that, and they would start to cover here. Can the team in possession see where the defence are moving and try and hit those gaps? This one was just a little bit of fun to see who are the worst shooters in the team, and every time you missed the target with a shot, you had to go and step out. If your team score a goal, then you could be brought back into play. If your team are that bad at shooting that every time you shoot you lose a player and you end up with 0 players on your team, the opposition win. We did keep score of the goals that were scored, and if you get a nutmeg, your team also gets a goal. So just again try to add in a little bit of fun for the end of the season. We end up going into a normal game to finish off and wrap up the season. There's a lot of shots, a lot of 1v1 skills on show. Try to get nutmegs galore, and I think it was a nice way to wrap up the season. So hopefully you've been able to take something from all the session plans I've put up, and hopefully we'll be able to work on this again next season. And if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to get in touch. And please have a look at the services page if you want to keep receiving session plans that are built for your needs. It is footballconnections.com/services. Thank you.